I want you to take a deep breath with me right now, and let's be brutally honest for just a moment. Have you ever felt like you were running a race, giving absolutely everything you had, only to slam into an invisible wall just before the finish line? Maybe you felt the excitement of a promotion coming, only to have the budget suddenly frozen. Maybe you paid off a debt, celebrated for a week, and then bam, the car transmission fails or the roof starts leaking. It feels like the universe is playing a cruel joke, doesn't it? It feels like you are perpetually capable, motivated, and smart, yet somehow, money just doesn't like you. I remember talking with someone I'll call Renata, who articulated this frustration perfectly. She was smart, driven, and worked incredibly hard, running her own small consultancy. But her bank account felt like a leaky bucket. Every time a big check came in, she'd feel that rush of relief, only to watch it vanish almost immediately through some unexpected, unavoidable expense. She used to look me in the eye and say, "I swear, money has a personal vendetta against me. It literally runs the other way." Her constant, gnawing feeling was frustration, a deep-seated impotence that came from trying every tactical and strategic business move, yet always landing back at square one, feeling unfulfilled and terrified that the ceiling would never lift. We all know that feeling, don't we? That persistent, insidious doubt that whispers, "This is just how it is. You are destined to struggle." And for so long, like Renata, we chased the external solution, a new job, a new investment strategy, a better budget plan. We focus on the doing, the strategy, the output. But here is the profound, foundational truth I discovered, and the truth that changed everything for Renata. The greatest block to our financial flow is rarely external. It is almost always an inside job. It lives deep within the automatic, almost silent thoughts we carry, the deeply ingrained subconscious script we never chose but constantly live out. Renata's invisible saboteur wasn't a bad economy. It was her own recurring, tiny, self-inflicted wounds. It was the automatic thought, every time she received a bill, "I can't afford this," even when she technically could. It was the feeling of guilt she carried from her childhood programming that believed, "Only greedy people have lots of money." These small, seemingly harmless phrases, repeated dozens of times a day, were creating a vibration, a magnetic field, that actively repelled the abundance she consciously desired. They were the key that locked her potential in a box she didn't even know she was holding. So, if you are sitting there right now, recognizing yourself in Renata's struggle, the effort, the struggle, the invisible ceiling, I want you to get excited, because that recognition is the beginning of your awakening. It's the moment we stop searching outside and finally turn the spotlight inward. It's time to realize that the raw, untapped power to change your financial reality has been sitting inside you all along, waiting for your conscious command. We are going to expose those invisible blockages and start installing the new operating system of prosperity. Before we even get to the how-to, I need you to answer this one powerful question for me. If that invisible ceiling suddenly vanished today, if you genuinely knew there were no financial limits on your life, what would you immediately choose to do? Don't hold back. Dream with me. Let's hold that image of limitless potential in our minds, because that emotional resonance is the first step toward understanding the universal principles that govern all manifestation. That power is waiting. We spent the beginning recognizing the problem, feeling trapped by an unseen force. Now, let's peel back the curtain and talk about the science, or perhaps the physics, of manifestation itself. Because that unseen force is not a villain, it's simply a mechanism. It is the law of attraction, the most powerful and reliable law in the universe, working perfectly every single time. The reason it felt like money was running away from Renata, or maybe running away from you, is that the law of attraction dictates that you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. You attract what you vibrate at, what you fundamentally believe and focus on. Think of your mind, your entire being, as a sophisticated radio tower. Right now, you are constantly broadcasting a dominant frequency to the universe. If you spend the majority of your day focused on the lack, the debt that needs paying, the bill you can't cover, the fear of losing your job, your dominant frequency is scarcity. The universe, which is perfectly impartial and non-judgmental, simply acts like a giant receiving dish, saying, "Understood." The dominant frequency is lack and struggle. sending back more experiences that perfectly match that frequency. It's like tuning your radio dial to 98.6 FM and then getting angry that you're not hearing the music on 104.7 FM. You have to change the dial. The greatest misconception about the law of attraction is that it's about wishful thinking, that simply repeating an affirmation once a week will change everything. That's absolutely false. It's about achieving vibrational alignment. And here is the core principle we must absorb. Thoughts are magnetic. Every single thought, good or bad, carries an electrical charge, and every emotion, the felt experience of that thought, carries a much stronger magnetic charge. When Renata was worrying about the next unexpected bill, she wasn't just having a fleeting thought. She was generating a powerful fear-based emotion, and that emotion was acting like a giant vacuum cleaner, pulling in exactly what she feared. She was literally manifesting her worst-case scenarios because her dominant emotional state was the fear of scarcity. If you observe the truly prosperous people in the world, and I mean the ones who have sustained joy and flow, not just momentary wealth, you realize they don't necessarily work harder, but they vibrate differently. They maintain an inner state of expectation, trust, and readiness. They aren't hoping for things to go right. They expect them to go right. This expectation is the key vibrational shift. It moves you out of the reactive, fear-based frequency and into the proactive, creation-based frequency. This principle is constant, like attracts like. If you want abundance, you must embody abundance. If you want financial flow, you must embody financial flow. You must become the vibrational match for the life you desire. But I know what many of you are thinking, because Renata asked me this too. How do I embody flow when my bank account looks like a desert? That's the challenge, isn't it? That's where the rubber meets the road. It requires learning to detach your internal state from your external circumstances. Your current reality is simply the residual manifestation of your past dominant thoughts. It's the mail that arrived today based on the letters you sent yesterday. It has zero bearing on the letters you are writing right now. Your future is being written in this moment by the thought you choose to hold. If you wait for the money to appear to feel abundant, you are violating the fundamental law. You must feel abundant first. That feeling, that alignment, is what collapses the possibility of wealth into the physical reality of wealth. So, take another moment and let that sink in. Are you beginning to see how your consistent internal dialogue, the worries, the self-criticism, the stress about bills, might have perfectly shaped the circumstances you are living in today? Don't judge those past thoughts. Simply recognize them. Because once we understand the physics, we can start engineering our own reality. The next step is the toughest, but the most rewarding: identifying and dismantling the deep, dark programs that have been running on autopilot, sabotaging your financial future. It's time to break the chains of scarcity. If part 1 was about recognition and part 2 was about understanding the universal mechanism, part 3 is about deep, necessary surgery. We must expose and destroy the invisible chains that have been binding us. These chains are what we call limiting beliefs, and when it comes to money, they are insidious, often hiding deep within our generational programming or childhood experiences. Renata's specific chain was that deeply ingrained belief: only greedy people have lots of money. This belief created an unconscious block. Her subconscious mind interpreted every step toward financial success as a step toward becoming a bad or greedy person, and thus, it automatically engineered a way back to comfortable lack. What is your chain? It might be that money doesn't grow on trees, that you have to struggle to earn a living, or maybe even the idea that you are just not smart enough, connected enough, or lucky enough to achieve true wealth. The crucial realization is this: limiting beliefs are not facts about reality. They are merely repetitive thoughts you accepted as truth, usually before the age of 7, or inherited from the stressed financial reality of your parents. They are stories, and stories can be rewritten. We need to stop the automatic self-sabotage. Here is the essential exercise. I want you to grab a notebook, and I want you to start listening to your internal monologue specifically when money is involved. When you pay a bill, what is the first thought? Is it a groan, a feeling of contraction, or stress? When you see someone else succeed financially, what is your knee-jerk reaction? Jealousy? Cynicism? Write down those visceral reactions, because they are the raw evidence of your limiting program running. We must shine a light on the darkness. For Renata, Recognizing her guilt about money was the first step. She realized that every time she thought about high-end clients, she felt an internal tug of unworthiness. Once you have identified the belief, let's say your belief is, wealth is hard to achieve, we don't just try to ignore it. We directly confront and replace it. This is where the power of conscious affirmation and reframing comes in. But we must use these tools strategically. A simple blanket affirmation like, I am rich, won't work if your deep inner voice screams, liar. You have to build a bridge between the belief you have and the belief you want. We do this by using affirmations that feel believable and emotionally charged, coupled with deep gratitude. Instead of fighting the old belief, we starve it by feeding the new one. For Renata, she started reframing. When she saw a successful colleague, instead of feeling envy, she forced herself to say, that person's success is evidence that abundance is flowing freely, and if it flows for them, it absolutely flows for me. This act of congratulating the universe for proving abundance shifts your frequency from competitive scarcity to collaborative prosperity. We shift from wealth is hard to achieve to I am open and receptive to the many ways wealth flows easily into my life. And then we pair that with a deep feeling of relief and trust. We must anchor the thought in emotion. Remember, emotion is the magnet. The thought is the electricity. You need both. Now, this is a community dedicated to rising together. I want to see you commit to this change. Right now, in the comments below, tell me one limiting belief about money or success that you are ready to release today. Write it down and declare your freedom from it. By sharing it, you make it real, and you allow others to celebrate that crucial first step with you. This act of declaration is the first true step toward unlocking the code of prosperity. We've identified the enemy, the inner saboteur, and we've begun the process of reframing. Now, let's move into the active creation phase, the actual art of manifestation. This is where we stop chasing and start attracting. We are going to establish the clear pathway for abundance to find you, and we'll do it using a 3-step process that is simple, powerful, and scientifically backed by the principles we discussed earlier. Now, before we move on, I want you to make a commitment right here, right now, to maintaining this alignment. This commitment is to yourself, to your prosperity, and to your higher potential. If you are serious about moving from scarcity to abundant flow, I want you to signal that commitment. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications. View that action not as a simple click, but as a ritualistic declaration. I am committing to my growth. I am committing to the frequency of prosperity. We are locking in this transformative mindset together. We have set the intention, we have maintained the feeling, and we are trusting the universe. But inevitably, we hit what I call the valley of manifestation, that period between planting the seed, the intention, and harvesting the fruit, the result. This valley is filled with 2 major challenges, doubt and impatience. Doubt creeps in when you look at your current reality and decide that the visualization you did this morning was simply a fantasy. Impatience drives you to push, force, and manipulate results, which ultimately signals to the universe that you don't trust the process, reverting you back to the frequency of struggle. How do we cross the valley without falling into the trap? First, we must reframe setbacks. When Renata began visualizing wealth, she initially lost a small client. Her immediate reaction was despair, but we coached her to see it differently. We asked her, did that client truly match the high-level, effortless flow you visualized? The answer was no. That client was draining and undervalued her time. The universe wasn't sabotaging her. It was creating a vacuum, clearing out the low-vibration opportunities to make space for the high-vibration ones she requested. Never mistake necessary redirection for failure. The difference between forced action and inspired action is the feeling behind it. Forced action feels heavy, stressful, and driven by fear or lack. I have to do this, or I'll fail. Inspired action feels light, exciting, aligned, and effortless, almost like play. I feel drawn to do this, and I know something good will come of it. Renata started receiving clear ideas, an innovative marketing strategy she had dismissed before suddenly felt urgent and exciting. She acted on that impulse, and that new strategy attracted exactly the kind of high-ticket clients she had specified in her clarity statement. She wasn't struggling to find clients. She was simply responding to the opportunities the universe laid out because she maintained her alignment. This journey requires constant self-awareness and self-correction. If you notice yourself slipping into worry, immediately stop, take a breath, and shift your state using gratitude for what you already possess. Gratitude is the fastest pathway back to the abundant frequency. It proves to the universe that you already have enough, and therefore, you are ready for more. We are all on this road together, and sometimes the terrain is rough. Tell me, in the comments below, what is your most powerful tool or thought process for staying motivated and maintaining high vibration when doubt starts to creep in? Your shared wisdom will help all of us navigate the valley successfully. We began this conversation with the frustration of hitting an invisible ceiling, feeling like money was actively avoiding us, much like Renata felt. We have traveled from recognizing the pain, through understanding the universal principles of alignment, to ruthlessly dismantling scarcity beliefs, and finally, establishing the proactive steps of inspired action. What changed for Renata was not her physical capabilities or the state of the economy. It was a fundamental shift in her internal broadcasting system. She stopped trying to solve her money problems externally and started solving her emotional and vibrational blockages internally. The result was not a lottery win. It was consistent, reliable, and effortless flow, where opportunities showed up perfectly timed, clients valued her worth without negotiation, and the fear of lack was replaced by the deep, resonant calm of knowing everything was always working out for her highest good. This is the life of prosperity consciousness, and it is available to you right now. It is more than just a large number in your bank account. It is the feeling of absolute trust in the universe, the confidence in your own magnetic power, and the freedom to pursue joy without the crushing weight of financial anxiety. True prosperity means having the resources, time, energy, health, and money to fully express your purpose and live a life of deep contribution. Remember the 4 pillars of this transformation. Recognize the internal blockages. Understand that emotion is the magnet. Release the fear of lack by trusting the process, and act with inspiration, not desperation. This is not a one-time fix. It is a lifestyle. It requires conscious vigilance over your thoughts, choosing gratitude over complaint, and consistently showing up in the emotional state of your fulfilled wish. Every day is a fresh opportunity to align with the life you truly desire. Your new beginning starts today, the moment you decide to fully own your power as a deliberate creator. No more waiting for permission, no more blaming external circumstances, and certainly no more believing that money doesn't like you. The universe is waiting for your clear, unwavering signal. Send that signal now. Step fully into the abundant identity that is waiting for you. Live from a place of already having, not hoping to get. I am so grateful you committed this time to your growth and transformation. We have opened a powerful door together, and the energy of this shift needs to move outward. If this message resonated with you, if you feel that internal shift happening, I urge you to share this video immediately with someone you love, someone who is struggling, someone who needs to hear that the greatest block to their success is not outside, but inside their own amazing mind. By sharing this light, we multiply the vibration of prosperity and create a richer, more abundant world for us all. Go forth, create with intention, and welcome the inevitable, beautiful flow. I look forward to reading your success stories. Until next time, keep vibrating high. I observed this pattern powerfully with a coaching client named Alex. He was brilliant at launching projects, creating a spike in profitability, yet consistently, within a 90-day window, he'd either make a huge, unnecessary investment mistake, suffer a rapid, expensive equipment failure, or simply become paralyzed by stress and sabotage his client relationships. He wasn't afraid of hard work. He was terrified of staying big. His emotional baseline, that internal thermostat, was set at comfortable, familiar scarcity. His subconscious mind, programmed in childhood to believe that intense richness equated to vulnerability or difficulty, perceived hitting a higher income level as an existential threat. Therefore, it deployed mechanisms, stress, bad decisions, paralysis, to cool him down and return him to his safe, customary temperature of financial limitation. Consider the difference between a miser who clings to every penny and a successful entrepreneur who enthusiastically funds a passion project or generously tips a deserving service worker. The miser vibrates fear. The giver vibrates trust and certainty in their perpetual ability to regenerate. We are not talking about reckless spending, but rather deliberate, high-frequency investment and donation that acts as an energetic statement of faith. When you consciously give from a place of deep appreciation and expectation of return, you are confirming to the operating system of the cosmos that your source is infinite. This profound shift, from managing a limited reservoir to facilitating an endless stream, is the highest level of mastery in conscious creation. This movement of energy seals the deal, preventing the thermostat from ever dragging you back down to the old temperature of constraint. I realized that for many seeking lasting abundance, the final, most sophisticated leap involves an identity integration, emerging with the self that already possesses everything desired. For too long, individuals like Maria, a truly dedicated single mother I worked with, operated under the belief that every blessing had to be painfully clawed from the universe. She was an expert at creating small wins, a freelance job here, a found discount there, but any substantial influx of money inevitably generated such intense emotional pressure that she found subtle ways to expel it, convinced that easy wealth was fleeting or dangerous. Her core programming insisted that success was inextricably linked to stress and profound effort. Consequently, her external reality began to rearrange itself to match this new, relaxed vibration. She stopped chasing demanding, low-value clients and intuitively began establishing systems that drew high-quality opportunities to her effortlessly. She discovered that she wasn't battling for resources anymore. She was simply existing as someone who naturally attracted and retained them. When Maria fully integrated this receptive identity, the large, sustained contracts appeared and, most critically, they stayed. This monumental shift represented her final liberation, moving her from the perpetual, exhausting duty of earning to the simple, joyous grace of allowing the perpetual, abundant flow. This is the life we claim now, a life where our outer reality is a magnificent, flowing expression of our inner belief. No more fighting the current. We now navigate with the confidence of a seasoned sailor who knows the wind is always at their back. Now, consider how this applies when you face that old memory of a costly error. Instead of allowing that memory to trigger guilt, we must treat the former version of ourselves with immense compassion. We must actively state, I fully and completely forgive my past self. That person was operating with the limited awareness and fear I have now transcended. I utilize the wisdom gained from that tuition and release the emotional contract of shame. This radical self-forgiveness instantly severs the energetic cord tying your present potential to your history of lack. I noticed a profound change in people who fully integrate this prosperity consciousness. It's the moment they realize they've stopped holding their breath. Remember that constant internal friction, the subtle knot of scarcity perpetually tightened in your solar plexus? That simply dissipates. I observed with clients who successfully navigated this transformation, their entire physical bearing shifted. Their gait was lighter. Their eyes held a relaxed, centered clarity. Imagine waking up, not with a checklist of looming financial obligations, but with a pure, unadulterated curiosity about the spontaneous opportunities the day will effortlessly deliver. This isn't wishful thinking. It's an expectation rooted in undeniable evidence. We cease to be debt-servicing mechanisms. Instead, we become powerful engines of joyful creation, our choices motivated by purpose and contribution, not paralyzing panic. A genuine feeling of lightness infuses every financial interaction. Moreover, this expanded prosperity extends far beyond our personal bank statements. We are establishing a new family legacy. Consider the profound, silent impact of modeling unshakable security for your children or loved ones. They are witnessing decisions made from a place of secure expansion, not fearful constriction. This actively rewrites their core scarcity programming before those negative beliefs even take root. Our affluence becomes the permission slip for their future ease, creating generational change where the financial struggles of the past are simply footnotes, not recurring chapters. We are lifting the entire communal floor. When resources arrive readily and reliably, we become capable of strategic, meaningful philanthropy, elevating causes and institutions we deeply care about, without the internal debate of "can I afford this?" The true measure of our success is the positive, exponential change we ignite in the lives of everyone around us. Consequently, the knowledge we've shared today, the recognition of your power, the mastering of emotional resonance, the commitment to inspired action, and the integration of a sovereign identity, has brought us to this critical pivot point. I deeply believe in the brilliant, limitless power residing within every person who has completed this journey alongside me. Go forth now, not just to live well, but to live magnificently, generously, and fully expressed. Let your success be loud, clear, and undeniable evidence of this universal mechanism. If this message resonated profoundly, if you feel the deep, fundamental shift happening inside your awareness, I urge one final, crucial action. Share this video immediately. Pass this knowledge to everyone who still struggles under that invisible financial ceiling. Our highest purpose is to raise the collective consciousness of prosperity. Let's make that powerful statement of collective abundance together. Welcome to your triumphant new beginning. We have journeyed deep into the subterranean chambers of motivation and fear, traversing the landscape of what holds us back and what propels us forward. I trust that as we have moved through these principles, a subtle but undeniable seismic shift has occurred beneath your awareness, restructuring the very ground upon which you build your future. Reflecting on this journey so far, I want to emphasize that the true transformation lies not in mastering a set of techniques, but in internalizing a new, unassailable posture toward the flow of life itself. For far too long, many of us accepted the illusion of external control, believing that the rewards of existence were distributed by some capricious, distant lottery. We pursued success with the frantic energy of an urgent scavenger hunt. Now, we recognize that the true lever of creation was always nestled deep within our own emotional centers. That continuous internal dialogue, the whispered anxieties, the quiet expectations, was, in fact, the magnetic blueprint being drawn for the very architecture of our days. The shift we initiated was not about adding complex strategies or forcing difficult action. It was about surgically subtracting the internal friction and the self-imposed noise. I recall a pivotal moment with one of my longtime students. Let's call him Julian. After months of working to dissolve his generational scarcity programming, he wasn't celebrating a huge financial win yet, but he was exhibiting an entirely new demeanor. He described the sensation as finally placing down an impossibly heavy, invisible suitcase he hadn't known he was carrying. That realization, that the burden of making things happen was far heavier than the actual work, is the silent reward of achieving vibrational alignment. We have moved past the thrashing struggle of trying to force the stream uphill and settled into the profound certainty of inevitable, effortless forward motion. We learned that the cosmos doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to magnetic fidelity. Our actions are now guided by something far more reliable than sheer, exhausting willpower. They are guided by an intuitive prompting that feels less like obligation and more like play. This is the fundamental difference between blindly digging for water in a vast, arid plain and instinctively drilling exactly where the underground spring already flows. That precise instinct is the integrated knowledge of your sovereign self, fully trusting the pervasive, invisible current that supports all things. This convergence of clarity, emotional truth, unwavering trust, and aligned movement means that the era of accidental, unsustainable success is firmly over. What we have constructed together is more than simply a methodology for attracting wealth. It is a permanent recalibration of our being. The implications of this convergence are not merely financial. They redefine how we approach relationships, utilize our time, and decide the legacy we choose to imprint upon the world. We've reached the point where the scaffolding of scarcity has been entirely dismantled, leaving only the bedrock of inherent possibility. The stage is set. We stand on the precipice of not just receiving abundance, but actively embodying it. This moment requires us to acknowledge the vastness of the change achieved and prepare for the final, most satisfying integration. We have arrived at the shore, finally able to turn back and gaze upon the churning waters we navigated, the chaotic sea of worry, effort, and striving. I want to anchor our final thoughts not in a summary of techniques, but in the glorious simplicity of what we have collectively achieved, a permanent shift in identity. We have stopped engaging in the tireless, frantic performance of trying to earn worthiness and have settled into the quiet, profound realization that our intrinsic value dictates our flow. True, enduring prosperity is not a prize awarded for struggle. It is the natural expression of an aligned being. For me, the most significant implication of this mastery is the newfound silence. Imagine the constant, low-grade hum of financial anxiety, that ever-present background noise that dictates your moods, limits your dreams, and consumes your bandwidth. When you fully commit to the principles we have discussed, that noise simply ceases. It is replaced by an astonishing sense of inner spaciousness and unshakable ease. This internal climate, this sovereign stability, allows our genius to flourish unimpeded. When we are no longer preoccupied with existential defense, our entire focus liberates itself for creation and contribution. This profound rest, this spiritual ceasefire, is the ultimate currency. What I witnessed in individuals who achieved this final integration, like Julian, was that their success became less about personal acquisition and more about purposeful leverage. When provision is absolutely guaranteed, your motivation shifts from fear-based self-preservation to genuine desire for meaningful impact. We move from asking, "How can I get enough?" to "How can I give the most?" This expansive posture is, ironically, the strongest magnet for receiving even greater resources. When we confidently distribute our energy and capital, we are acting as perfect conduits, signaling to the creative forces of life that our capacity is boundless and our channel is clear. This reciprocity becomes a self-sustaining orbit of increase. This final wisdom, then, is about maintaining that clear channel. I urge you to treat your internal state as your most valuable asset, guarding it fiercely from cynicism, self-doubt, and the lure of old, limiting narratives. Do not mistake a temporary external challenge for a permanent vibrational defeat. When the inevitable dips occur, and they will, for life is rhythmic, see them merely as fleeting feedback, necessary for minor course corrections, never as evidence of failure. Use the immediate, gentle power of gratitude to pull your frequency back into alignment, affirming that all things are truly working together for your highest good. Our journey ends here, but our life of deliberate creation has only just begun. I ask that you walk forward from this moment not merely as someone who has learned about manifestation, but as someone who irrevocably is the manifestation. Be the living, breathing, joyful evidence of the limitless potential that resides within us all. Do not whisper your dreams. Embody them with such certainty and grace that the world rearranges itself to mirror the magnificent truth you hold within your heart. Go and create brilliantly, knowing that I stand with you, celebrating the astonishing abundance that is already rushing to meet you.